Lisa. All right, guys, we told you we have a guest in the building, and our guest this afternoon is recognized as one of the front-running world-class saxophone players and currently the most successful jazz expert from West Africa. His music transcends class, age, and race as it creates sounds that represent both creative passion and culture. So, ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome to the show this superstar, Mike Aremu.
Royalty in the building.
My darling. Ha, you said it.
Same here, man. I've been feeling you guys. You guys are honestly, doing a wonderful job.
Okay, so before we came back from the break, it was playing along to Mona Lisa. So let's play a bit of Mona Lisa.
Oh, okay. You want to put me on the spot? Where is it now? Let's hear it.
We'll play it now. Yeah, let's go. Hey. Amazing.
I know. You know, you hear these songs. Well, sometimes you don't sit down to hear them. Yeah. But it's just impassive. People play and then you hear it.
Yeah. So I love how much you love your saxophone.
Yes.
And then from what I saw, I realized that the love for instruments actually started from Boys Brigade.
Yes.
And I can relate.
Yeah, you can,
because
right? Okay.
You have to love an instrument, if not the drum, you play the sax, you play all of that. And it's just super amazing how far you've come, how you started, and where you are now. Yeah. So do you want to tell us about the high point of your music career, how playing the saxophone has changed your life, and what exactly it was when you started, the challenges you faced?
So I'm playing the sax. So I didn't start with the saxophone. I started in a white Carmen church. You know, you mentioned Boys Brigade. I played a bit of every instrument, the drums, the akuba, we called it akuba, and the bass drum. If you have ever heard the Kegas, you know that one.
Yeah.
That was our vibe in White Garment Church. And it was like some kind of a tradition for every child to learn some kind of instruments. So I did everything. The saxophone was actually the last instrument I picked up. And I had an interview just recently, and I just realized I've been playing for the saxophone actually for up to 30 years.
Wow.
I'm telling you. So. But a high point for me was, so I used to listen to Kenny G, you know, back then, even not as a saxophonist, like just as a trumpet player. Yeah. And if I remember stealing the cassette, you know, from the guy, because the guy was just, he didn't know the value. You know, when you know somebody just doesn't value that thing. But when I now hosted Kenny G in Nigeria for my sax appeal concert, I think I didn't realize as much big deal it was from where I was coming from. Yeah. You know. So for me, that was one of the highest points of my career, that I was hosting Kenny G in Nigeria, you know, for my own concert. Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, that was it big for me.
That was big.
Yes.
I mean, massive congratulations for the feats that you've achieved.
Yep.
I mean, amazing. My question is, at what point did you, I mean, you said the saxophone was the last instrument that you picked up.
Yes.
So at what point did you decide and say, you know what, this is what I'm going to pursue? Considering at that time.
There you go.
At that time.
You get it.
Because being an instrumentalist was not a thing.
Wasn't
especially in Africa here. You know, even outside, we had a few that were, you know, the top names, the Kenny G's and all that, but it wasn't what people accepted as an act.
Yeah.
You know, at what point did you decide and say, this is what I'm going to do, and how did you pursue it?
So, I mean, I studied electronics engineering, and alongside, music had always been a part of my life. Like, it was just there, you know. It was somewhat brought me through school and all of that. So, but then I remember we had one Easter fiesta at the Lagbaja's, what do we call it, Motherland, way back. And it was organized by Kenny's Music. So I was one of the band, house band, and we did a session, a jazz session before the whole thing started. And Uncle Keke came and said, you know, this is the best part of my show. And they came for me, no, we have to sign you, Mike. I mean, so 25 years ago, I was signed into Kenny's music label.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like,
so
being the first instrumental in Nigeria.
You know, I mean, people, I think now that I see a lot of saxophone players, it's such a thing of joy for me when I see them, because nobody really believed so much in even being a singer, like an artist, you know, talk more of being an instrumentalist, being the front liner. It wasn't something, but now actually people add the name saxophone to their names, and that's how much they want to be identified.
You even see some parents who enroll their kids to learn musical instruments on the side.
Of course, you have to learn sax. That's you must play it. That's, you know. So it's just good to see that. So that was the point where I know that, okay, I've always known somehow that music I cannot, you know, but when I decided that, okay, this is it full time, it wasn't for people around me wearing surprised, people that knew me wearing surprised. They knew, well, we knew all along. You know, even when I see some of my friends that we, you know, studied together, they're like, well, we know now since we've always known that this was you.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so you've worked with a whole lot of legendary musicians, both in Nigeria and on the international scene, choirs. You've won awards, gotten nominated for so many awards.
Yes.
Now you're here to talk about your project.
Yes.
That you're working on.
Yes.
Saxophone.
So, yeah. Saxophone. I'm not see saxophone. It was such an expensive
Money matter.
You know, but like I said, this year will be in September will be 25 years that I signed my first record deal. Yeah. Or that would say I became an established artist. So this year I will be celebrating 25 years. It's gonna be called Dance with Mike Aremu, because my first album was called Dance. So I'll be doing that in London at some point in September, and then in November I'll be, you know, back here to do the Niger version, because you know it all started here. So I'll be doing a recording with orchestra in the UK, and yes, and that's what we have so far.
Amazing. Yeah. So I have a question. I mean, so playing the saxophone, and you've toured the world. This has opened, like, you've been everywhere. You've also layers. You've been with international artists. You know, Kenny G's, India Ari, all of them. You've played with them. But the question I want to ask, you know how they, when Nigerian artists or anybody with a Nigerian background goes outside, and then they say, you know, your Afrobeats, they classified you into genres.
Yes.
But the saxophone is an instrument that can play all kinds of genres of music. Do you ever get classified out there and say,
oh yes, so first is the big classification of gospel and non-gospel. But sometimes you just need to name you have to call yourself something. So in 2013 or so, I came up with a name for my genre, because I wanted something that would speak about everything that I do. So I came with Afro Go Jazz. So Afro Go Jazz, Afro from Afrobeat, African, Go from gospel, Jazz from what it is, jazz. So there will always be a category. But you know, thank God for what's happening with Nigerian music, both even in gospel music. I was having dinner. One of my last video that I shot was called Totori, which I featured Victor Thompson.
I saw that one.
And you know, we just 2 weeks ago we're having dinner in London, you know, and I mean, he was telling me about the things, you know, even though it's not really gospel artist in terms of, but all his things is gospel. And I mean, the doors, you know, the level of, and I mean, see, we're all like, how many nominations at the Grammys?
Grammys,
you know? It's so amazing. So it's now difficult to just classify us. It's more like just wanting to even do things with Nigerian artists.
Okay, since you've spoken about awards, and we know it's award season, Limo Blaze just won a Best Gospel Act.
Yeah.
At Mobile Awards. Yes.
Can you imagine? He's
Super
just
amazing.
been to UK for how long? So that's, we Nigerians know how to make their presence known.
Yes. Of course.
And to force you to look their way. Nigerians, we know how to, you must look our way. We have our ways, and that is already happening in music. I'm just hoping that begins to happen in every other industry, even our finance and everything, that we begin to reflect that and it begins to show in the lives of every Nigerian.
So what was the moment it dawned on you that you were doing the best you could? Was it when you got your first nomination or when you won your first award, or you didn't even need any of that validation?
I didn't need any of that validation. That was just one. In fact, my first few years of my career, I didn't cherish so much awards. But for me, I think the fact that every time I picked up this thing to play, I felt on top of the world.
Yeah.
For me, so every time it's celebration. I love it. The feeling is great.
It's such an honor to have you here.
Yeah, honestly. Really great.
Now we can't let you go without giving us, give us some totori.
Yeah.
Hey, totori, you said it.
Hey,
you guys you're so informed. I was just watching and listening to you there, enjoying myself.
Thank you.
Well done.
So please, before we go, give us a...
I'll do Totori, which is the song I did.
February 14, can I call you on the phone?
So you can.
Okay. So I don't do parara, but if you find me to do parara for mommy and daddy, parara.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Such an honor to come with you guys.
Great to have you here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the show. I know you don't want him to go. We don't want him to go too, but we have more time to spend with him. We'll give you this later. Have a great weekend. We love you. My name is J. Paul Catherine and the legend himself, Aremu.
And we need to apologize. We're not giving you Happiness is Free today, but next week you sure will get your dose of Happiness is Free, okay, guys? Bye for now and have a great weekend.